Welcome to HackerKast. This is the video cast. This is a video cast, guys, where we talk about all the interesting, cool application security things that have happened in the last week. Share things about what's going on out there, cool hacks, new techniques, things that are of interest. And so we take a few minutes to do this. And we have with me is Matt Johansson, manager of TRC out of Houston. And then we also have Robert R. Snake Hansen, who is currently at his home in Austin after a long trip from New York, a whole 2 days.
It felt long. It really did.
I just got back from a long 2 days in Miami last night, too. So,
what are you doing in Miami?
Akamai's Edge Customer Conference. I was actually very fortunate enough to be invited to speak there, since it's just Akamai employees and customers. So it was a good time.
Right on, Dan. You saw a particular presentation there that was pretty interesting, right?
Yeah, let's just jump right into it. So it was actually the presentation right after mine, so I just kind of haphazardly stayed in the room that I was talking in, and I'm really, really glad I did. It was a presentation by Brian Sniffen from Akamai, speaking about the future of SSL and TLS. And so he happens to be part of a unique conversation of a bunch of people in the industry that are tied to these kinds of things, internet standards, and people from large companies on the internet that this would very much affect, and so on and so forth, about speaking of what kind of changes they're going to make to the next version of TLS, which is TLS 1.3. And I took a picture of this slide because I was just drooling over the feature list of TLS 1.3, and I really wish that we could have it, 10 days ago. But yeah, it's getting rid of most of the vulnerable cipher suites that are that are available in TLS 1.2. Just so kick out CBC, kick out RC4 algorithm. For those of you who have watched my top 10 web hacks of 2013, those were notorious. They were just all over the place. The Lucky 13 attack, the Beast attack, the Crime attack from the previous year, weaknesses in RC4, all on the list. And so just ripping all that stuff out so it's not even available for people. And also disabling a lot of compression when it comes to encryption. All sorts of cool things like forward secrecy and protecting against SSL downgrade attacks, which we see a lot here at White Hat, where you're not necessarily using a weak algorithm in your implementation of SSL, but you are allowing the use of a weak algorithm. So say an old browser was to connect to your web server, even though your primary algorithm is strong, it would have to downgrade that connection to allow this old browser, like an old version of IE or something, to actually talk to your web server. So
no one uses outdated versions of IE. Come on.
Yeah, right? Who cares, right? So, but a lot of times this is actually unintentional because they know that they're using the correct implementation, but they forget to configure to disallow the incorrect implementation. It's a weird little tweak, and we find it a lot. It's a lot of our customer support requests because even when we open the vulnerability, it's kind of hard to understand. Like, hey, no, I'm doing it right. I know I'm doing it right. And for all intents and purposes, they are, but they're not disabling this stuff. So TLS 1.3 is going to have some new features to protect against the downgrade attack. And actually, some of this downgrade protection, they're releasing this cool feature. I can't remember the acronym. I'll try to put it in this blog post when we put it on there. But before Thanksgiving, there's a feature that they're going to release. I don't know if it's just to their customers or to the browser vendors or what, but to help against this downgrade type attack, which is I'm really excited for all of this stuff. So
Akamai front ends a whole bunch of online properties. And so they plan to roll this out, obviously. Did they say when they're going to roll this out?
So it's very aggressive timeline. So TLS 1.3 full adoption, they're optimistically trying to kind of force the entire internet to be using this by 2017. So
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty aggressive. It's a way more aggressive timeline than the rollout of TLS 1.2.
So they have to get Akamai to use it in Cloudflare. That's like half the internet right there, right?
Yeah, I think Akamai's got just over a third of the internet going through it, so pretty interesting. I also found out while I was there that White Hat is the #1 source of scanning for shell shock, which is really I got a kick out of, right? So we were we're one of the first ones to be testing for it at scale, We have 30
setting off
websites
a lot of
every
alerts, huh?
Yeah.
Luckily, they're pretty easily identifiable as us, so they've learned to ignore it. But I had some bleary-eyed Akamai people who hadn't slept in a few days since Shell Shock came out, kind of blinking at me like, "Do you work at White Hat?"
Did you at least buy them a beer and say sorry?
I bought them a scotch, so
Okay, good.
so get some sleep, man.
Okay, for the Akamai guys watching, sorry, we're doing our job. Scotch on us.
That's what I had to say. I said, people pay us to do that.
So Robert, you've been traveling, but you came across something pretty interesting, right? What was something about Snapchat?
Yeah, this is actually kind of cool. So apparently, I just found out that there's a third-party app called SnapSave where you can, my dear friend Matt Johansson just informed me, where you can actually save Snapchat images. And typically, Snapchat is just designed to be super ephemeral. You just take a picture of your junk or whatever it is that you're taking a picture of. You send it to your significant other, and then they can see it, and then it disappears, which is very useful for sexting. But apparently, this third-party app, which is totally not allowed on their platform, it's not supposed to be used or whatever, allows you to save those images, which makes it very popular. In this particular case, we're not exactly sure how it happened. Either they were compromised, or they were bad, or something, but several 100,000 images were stolen, and these images, apparently Snapchat, their numbers are something like half of their users are underage, half.
Oh, no.
And so half of these hundreds of thousands of images are child pornography. And so this actually is a couple interesting things. First of all, anyone who downloads it, really you should just burn everything. Let's catch it on fire right now. But then the second thing is, it is pretty interesting that if that's true, that Snapchat is indeed sending hundreds of thousands of child pornography images through their system. That could add all kinds of extra, and this is basically proof of that, right? This could add all kinds of headaches for them, like downstream, like litigation-wise. I think the bigger picture problem here is the child pornography as a weapon. If I send a file and it can be used as a weapon in court, especially in the UK, where even if you don't open it, it doesn't matter. They still say that's cause, and they can take you down, and they have. There's precedence here. It's actually pretty scary. If you just blanket send a bunch of child pornography to a company or something, you basically shut that company down. So it's pretty gnarly.
That's awful. So what was it? Was SnapSave?
Yeah, SnapSave is the third-party app. Yeah.
So what are they doing about this? Do they say what they're going to do?
I think they're still currently owned. I think the article that I read is that their website is still redirecting to some Danish website or something. I didn't read too in depth into this, but it seems like they're still owned. So I don't know.
I'm guessing that company is going to be in a load of trouble for all kinds of reasons. But would you use that app twice? Burn me once with child pornography. Shame on me.
Well, hey, Snapchat itself, they had all sorts of security issues in the past. Not quite this big as far as leaking of all these pictures, but leaking of email addresses tied to their usernames, so you could see if people were actually using the app. They've had some security headaches in the past, even though they say that they've never themselves been fully breached. They've had some privacy concerns at the very least, so I guess people are using it twice. Burn me twice.
Yeah, there's other applications out there that do similar stuff. The one that comes to mind right now is Wickr, WICKR. And they have not had those kinds of problems, at least not yet. So maybe there's going to be a migration. We'll see. I don't know. It should be interesting.
I'm going to start moving over to Wickr and actually start using that predominantly as my text messaging client. I think it's probably time we start doing that.
Yeah, I've been using it especially when I'm at these conferences and stuff like that. That's who's that from the original DEF CON fame? That's behind Wickr. Nico.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's this one other story because we mentioned Shell Shock earlier, and so Shell Shock has been on everybody's radar for the last 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that now. And one of the interesting ones that came up this week was that apparently Yahoo got hacked by Shell Shock. At least that's what the headlines claim. And so it's always interesting when when the chief information security officer of Yahoo, Alex Stamos, he takes to Hacker News on Y Combinator to explain the situation, and he actually thought you had a pretty good explanation for what was going on. So one is, he actually just came out and said, this is the deal, and no spin, no PR, just said, here, this is what's going on. So that's kudos to Alex and Yahoo for that one. So Alex explains that it wasn't shell shock; it was something else affecting, 3 Yahoo Sports servers. Basically, it was curious to them, it was concerning to them because they had patched against shell shock on these servers, not once but twice, because there was an issue there with the patch the first time.
Multiple patches.
Yeah. So apparently, the bad guys were trying to evade IDS, IPS, WAF kind of stuff, and end up doing a completely different exploit, a different command execution exploit against some kind of monitoring script the Yahoo Sports teams had. So Alex had a great quote in here. Let me see if I can find it here. Just because the exploit code works doesn't mean it triggered the bug you expected. And, so I thought that was great. So he also mentioned that because in the news stories it said that the researcher had contacted Yahoo, they are unresponsive. When I was reading, I wasn't sure I was buying that, but Alex wanted to make it very clear that they monitor the security at yahoo.com alias. They have a bug bounty program, and they didn't have any records of the notification. But it's kind of interesting that bugs are still out there, shell shock or otherwise, even on major properties.
Yeah, if anyone's interested, please go read the whole post by Alex. It's pretty short and really transparent, and kudos. It was really awesome of him to post that in a very timely manner too. He posted it that same day. So
yeah, and so we'll put all the links and things up there. So we got a busy week next week. So right now it's Friday, so we have a busy week next week. Got a whole lot of things going on at Whitehead, but one of them. So I thought I'd sport the shirt. Next week is, I'm going to show the shirt, right? It's Hacker Combat. So do my Hacker Combat shirt. And so next week, this is our internal White Hat Capture the Flag contest, where we have lots and lots and lots of 100+ people that do nothing but hack websites all day long. So on Friday next week, we're getting together to do our Capture the Flag contest, where we do battle against each other. And I've never won this stupid thing, so. But Matt has, so I have to at least outplay Matt this time. That's my goal.
Yep, I won that one, the one that you're wearing the shirt for, so thanks.
Yeah, that was Hacker Combat 5. Hacker Combat 6 is coming up. And this is actually kind of cool because we have a whole lot of people. What do you think? I think almost a dozen players from outside the company playing with us. Our customers really are playing with us and showing up. So we're making hacking a spectator sport. So it's I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
We're starting to keep stats on individual people submitting flags and stuff too. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, you guys are going to do like fantasy hacking or something, huh?
Who knows? As long as we don't go down the route of like the NFL, right? Like who's out for the week and
who's got a broken leg?
Jer hurt his finger in jiu-jitsu and he can't sequel inject as fast.
Hey, don't tease. That's actually happened before. All right, so that about sums it up for the week. This has been HackerKast, guys. I will see you next time. Thanks a lot.
Take it easy.